So I recently just saw the movie BeetleJuice for the first time, and I really enjoyed it. Now, a great aspect to this movie would be Michael Keaton's performance as Beetlejuice. He does a really great job bringing a lot of personality and charisma to this character, and in my opinion, I think he's the best actor in this movie. The humor and comedy writing in this movie is also very well done. It's clever and sincere, and it fits the tone of the movie, and it genuinely got a laugh out of me a few times. I liked how this movie was able to build up the pre-death world and after-death world. It certainly does bring a great amount of contrast to these two opposing worlds, and it does a great job showing the position that the two main characters find themselves in. Now, of course, with this being a Tim Burton movie, it's able to pull off a great cartoonish tone with some really great practical effects. And I also enjoyed how this movie was able to take a creative spin on its own story. You would kind of begin to expect it to play out in a certain way, but then it plays out differently, and it really does a great job with highlighting the themes and tone with the film. Every actor in this movie did a very great job. I already mentioned Michael Keaton, but everyone else did a very good job performing their characters, and it felt like they fit the film very well. Now, overall, this was just a great Tim Burton joint, and I'm very excited to see the sequel. So this one gets a very strong 6 out of 10. So another movie that I want to talk about in this video would be It from 2017. Now, I enjoyed this movie for a variety of reasons, and one of those reasons being able to capture such a youthful, energetic spirit throughout the film. And what I mean by that is that it's able to take a concept that's been done so many times but still make it feel incredibly genuine and investing. Now, this movie revolves around kids trying to find a mystery in their town, and it takes place during the 80s. And of course, that's something that's been done many times before, but it was really able to capture that great energy and spirit throughout. All of these characters are very distinct and likable and have some great dynamics with each other. Not to mention, all their performances were pretty good for the most part. There are definitely a few moments here and there where it's less than stellar, but it never really ruined the movie for me. Speaking of which, Bill Skarsgård's performance as It really did a great job selling it. He's able to bring a great amount of personality to this character, and he's truly scary at times. Not to mention, there are definitely a lot of sequences at this movie that were effectively unnerving and terrifying throughout, which is something of a rarity in horror movies today. Another great aspect about this movie is that there's some truly really hard-hitting emotional scenes throughout this movie that never feel corny or unjustified, particularly one at the end that's very well done. Now, a couple of minor issues that I have with this movie would be some of the character logic as to how they revealed the information that they saw. Like, why would you tell them all at this one point where other characters are telling it and not before? Another point, there was a character that just ran into an adult after seeing something scary and didn't even bother telling them. That just seemed overall kind of weird and a little bit sloppy, but hey, that's neither here nor there. Now, overall, this is a very cliche concept with its tone and concept, but it never really ruined the movie, and it's very well done throughout. Now, when I first saw this movie, I decided to give it a 7, but this one just, I think, deserves a 6 out of 10. Main reason for that being is that I think it's only kind of one and done type movie in my opinion, which means I can only watch it once to have such a great experience with it. But perhaps people will feel differently, so I definitely suggest people watch this. Anyways, this one gets a 6 out of 10. And the last movie that I'll talk about in this video is Top Gun Maverick. Now, in order to talk about this movie, I'm going to talk about the first Top Gun movie. Now, the first Top Gun movie is just an awful movie in my opinion. All of the characters in this movie are just extremely annoying and unlikable. The biggest issue with this movie is that it barely even has a plot. It's just a collection of very boring, weirdly paced scenes. Throughout this movie, they overused the soundtrack so many times. They kept replaying the exact same song over and over again and just got really sick of it at the end of it. The action flying sequences in this movie are just so boring and uninvesting. So yeah, just really awful movie. I don't recommend it. This one probably gets a 3 out of 10. Now, this movie really managed to fix a bunch of problems I had with the first movie. First off, the characters are written so much better in this movie than they were in the first movie. All of the characters really have their own personality and some really great dynamics with each other that are really fun and entertaining to watch. This movie also manages to have some pretty emotionally hard-hitting scenes. There are 2 scenes in particular that are just really powerful and able to evoke so many emotions. It's truly refreshing to see from the first movie. Another great thing about this movie is the action flying sequences throughout the film. Another great aspect about this movie would be the action flying sequences throughout. Each one of these flying sequences are incredibly well done and choreographed, and each one of these scenes feels like it has actual stakes to them. The last 30 minutes of this movie is probably the highlight of the film, not only character-wise, but also just action-wise. I enjoyed how they used the music throughout the film. At certain points it felt like they were overplaying the theme a little bit, but it never really ruined the movie or got to the same levels as the first movie. And overall, this is a very good movie, and this is probably the highest 6 out of 10 that I've ever given. And if you somehow haven't seen this movie yet, then go watch it. And this one gets a 6 out of 10.